Hello, and welcome to the Street Angel Podcast by myself, Angelo Thomas Medium. Okay, so today's first episode, or the first episode, is called Red Wine, Black Coffee, and White Light. And look, it's nothing too deep of a of a title. It's more about, you could look into the play of words and have a bit of fun with that. But it more so explains my style of mediumship, or my style of working with spirit, because I refuse to use the word spirituality. I feel it's been hijacked these days for the wrong reasons, for reasons that I guess I won't go into now, because I've got that covered with my dear friend Charity and our joint point podcast. See, I can't even talk today. The Angel and the Fae. So, red wine, black coffee, white light. I guess that sums up in a nutshell that, I am a spirit medium, natural born. I don't mean that to be egotistical, to come off like I'm better than or holier than. It's just simply that I was born a little crazier than most. And, but at the same time, I don't take myself too seriously, or the world of spirit, in the sense of being a medium too seriously, in that, I do drink red wine, sometimes too much, sometimes too little. I'm hooked on black coffee. It's very much needed for myself when I can't sleep, because the spirits have kept me awake all night. And I think one of the best ever inventions was an espresso pod system. And yes, I recycle all the pods, so don't come at me for that. But I hear so many people talk to me about, they've gone and seen a healer, or they've gone and seen a spirit worker, a medium, psychic, that type of thing, and that they were told that they have to completely clean out their whole world, change who they are, if that makes sense. And I just never understood that, to be honest. Is why do you have to completely clean out who you are and change your whole way of living just to work with spirit? I mean, look, if you want to drink red wine, drink it. If you don't, and you want to be alcohol free, go for it. The same thing as if you want to, be pure and have a vegan diet. Again, that's great, but let's stop putting these expectations on spirit work and on yourself that you have to be this pure, holier than thou character, and somehow that makes you better than everyone else, because it doesn't. I know a lot of people who have a clean lifestyle around veganism or something else. I can't even think of an example, right now, where also they don't watch television, and it's not for anything spiritual. It is purely because that's just their choice. So, there it is. Red wine, black coffee. I often think about when you're having a drink, it's when, I think there was that show Medium with Patricia Arquette, and she actually portrayed Alison Dubois, who's one of my favourite spirit mediums, one of my heroes, the other being James Van Praagh. And a lot of the storyline in there is that she often has a few drinks to numb out the spirits. When she doesn't want to listen to them, she sits there and she has a drink, and there's comical situations that follow, and there's also drama. But that's just her way of how she sees spirit. But other people are so obsessed with thinking that if you have a drink, that you're all of a sudden going to open yourself up to these demons. And the whole definition of inebriated it's come from the Arabic word of to be inspirited, or to be what's the word, not haunted, taken over maybe. But at the end of the day, again, if you respect spirit work in its purest form, and respect spirit, and have healthy boundaries like you would with friendships, then you know what? It's not going to hurt you to have a couple of glasses of wine, and it's not going to hurt you to have some coffee. So that was the behind the reason title. I also thought it was quite catchy, because a bit of tongue-in-cheek there, because I really don't prescribe to the white light thing. But again, if you do, that's great. But what I really wanted to touch on was, with this podcast, is that I wanted to share with you all my experiences with spirit, share some, insider tips that have worked for me. Might not work for you, but have worked for me, on how to communicate with spirit, and also pass on some messages that come to me during the time when we're recording, or I can, take some recordings down of when I do channel some messages from the angels or ascended masters and pass them on to you. I'd also love to hear from you guys if you have any topics out there that you'd be interested in hearing about from myself. But one of the first ones that I wanted to talk about today was to touch back on that whole idea around the holier than thou aspect of some spirit workers. And like I said, the sacred cacao drinking, sage smoking, all that type of cheesecloth wearing Byron Bay crew, good luck to them. I wish I could pull off white linen, but I can't. 6 foot stocky Greek, so that's just not me. But the thing is that it kind of lends itself that spirit work is reserved for the very few, that you have to be this certain type of person. But what I wanted to tell people today is that you don't have to be any particular person. You can communicate with spirits through the simple act of lighting a candle and thinking of a Passover loved one. You can do spirit work by going out into nature and just going into your veggie garden and thanking nature for all the crops, or maybe even shaking your fist up at the sky because you can never get your lettuce to actually grow more than half of what it's supposed to, or the caterpillars are always eating something. But spirit work is it's just something that you can integrate into your everyday life so easily and not make a hoo-ha about it. It's one of those things where I take it for granted, I guess, that I can communicate with spirit so easily, and I sometimes have to check myself. When I say, oh yeah, it's easy, nah, it's all good. But for some people it does come harder. But that's all right, because it just takes time. It takes patience and time. Respect yourself, respect your boundaries, respect your energy. Take some time out, if this is what you want to do. And learn from as many different people, places, books, resources as possible. And when something doesn't seem right to you, then walk away. But if you're drawn to a certain group or a certain theory around spirit work, then go for gold. There's not one way to communicate with spirit, and I'm damn well sure there's not one particular kind of spirit. They're everywhere, absolutely everywhere. But yeah, so that's my take on spiritual work, is that it's pretty much not reserved for the very few. It's anyone can do it. But yeah, what else was I going to talk about today? I always get sidetracked when I do these podcasts because I go in with a full script and then there's this spirit that's just standing in front of me wanting to have a yarn. But back to my brand of spirituality or spirit work. See, even I say spirituality. Maybe I should call it soul work. But I've kind of become more comfortable talking about this over the past 4 or 5 years, that the fact that I can see spirits. It's a real great time in human history that we can actually come out and talk about this so publicly. I remember my original Reiki master in Darwin, Marie Chan, said to me that there's no better time in human history for people like you and I, as she was referring to her and I. And I kind of agree with that. So that's why I say to people, look, it's more and more people out there are doing it, more and more people are talking about it. So yeah, get in there. Now, I do have offerings around spiritual development work, so sure, that would be great if someone wanted to book in with me and do that. But again, this isn't to promote just myself, it's to talk about spirit in broader terms, and there's plenty of other people out there that do just as amazing spirit work. But yeah, so I am a bit more comfortable talking about it, a bit more comfortable putting a face to a name. I go by the name Angelo Thomas, which are my middle names. And that's just to keep that little bit of separation between my personal life, my real name, and my medium life. I've had the odd case of stalkers, people that try and slip into your messages and, look you up on Facebook, Instagram, even LinkedIn. I've completely deleted that. But also before this, I had a very successful government career for a while in Canberra, Darwin, not Brisbane. That's what I threw in the hat. And decided to do this full time, but it was just really good to have that separation of my muggle self and my spirit worker self. And again, that comes back down to boundaries. It comes back to having those really healthy boundaries with yourself, with other people, and with the spirit. And that's why I might keep going on about it, but what you do in your personal time and your lifestyle will not affect your work with spirit. It's more so your intention and how you act. It's like that piece of advice that I always give people when they first want to communicate with angels, just above spirit. And we'll get into the angels in another time, but one of my first steps is to act like an angel, to be an earth angel incarnate, to act like an angel. So, it's not that Christian style of turn the other cheek if someone's treating you like crap, but it's more so that, smile, be kind, nod. And if someone is mean, and not so pleasant, again, nod, smile, mutter away something in your head. But it's just be an angel, because you never know, they might be going through something, and that persistent, annoying smile might actually help them. But yes, I always say that, act like an angel, and then you will be on your first step to talking to them and talking to spirit. Now, another thing that I wanted to talk about today, and today's episode is going to be a little bit all over the place, because it's a bit of an introduction of who I am, a little bit of how I do my work, and where I've come from, is that I'm not perfect, and I don't pretend to be perfect when it comes to spirit work. I make mistakes in my own life. I can predict that someone's going to have a baby boy, and it's going to be born on, this date at this time, and it's going to be all these things, and yada, yada, yada. But I myself can sometimes make mistakes where I can't see something coming. An example of that was today when we fast forward to rewind. Look at me, can't even talk again because I've got too many spirits in my head. It's I kept opening up my kitchen drawer, and this spare one of those disc batteries, I don't know what they're called, but they're like the flat discs. It kept jumping out at me, and I was like, I don't need that. I need some chopsticks because I ordered some amazing pad thai. I love pad thai. It's like noodles are one of my other things, but I couldn't fit noodle into the title. Anyways, this thing just kept popping out at me, and I'm like, oh my god. In the end I moved it because I just got jack of it. But then today, when I had to go down the road to an appointment, I grabbed the keys to the car, ran downstairs and tried to open the car door, and it was the dongle thingy was flat, wasn't working. And this was the spare set actually, because Edwina had taken the other set to Toowoomba, which is always fun, but that's what spares are for. So again, I kept my cool. But yeah, I was in a full panic mode. I was like, can't get there, have to do shopping, have to do appointments, can't stuff people around. So I called up the place I was going to, which is my friend's place, Savine's place, the facial hub, because being Greek, got to separate those eyebrows every now and then. And I called them up and said, look guys, I can't come. I can't get the car started, the original keys in Toowoomba, can we postpone it? And the funny thing again, like the battery popping out at me last night, the ladies on the other end of the phone were like, it's okay, we can wait for you if you happen to make it in 10-20 minutes, it's all good. And silly me again, not being able to see my ass from my tits, or whatever they call it, ass from your toes, whatever the saying is. I kept saying, no, I'll book it for another day. And so anyways, I walked upstairs and I opened the drawer because I was like, well, might as well make lunch while I'm here. And that friggin' battery popped out again. And then it dawned on me, that is the exact battery I needed for the dongle. I'd bought it for one of those cool remotes for one of those LED strips. So anyways, feverishly got a butter knife out, fixed everything up, got the key working after a quick YouTube of how to reprogram it. And look, you'd think by the time I reached my 30s that I'd be able to do this stuff, but nope, have to YouTube it. And then when I called up the guys again at the facial hub, they said, no worries, we can fit you back in, it's all good. And I kept thinking to myself, these are the exact moments when spirit tries to help you. These little things where the battery just kept popping out at me last night. Where the lady on the other end of the phone kept saying to me, it's okay, we've got you. I'm sure you'll be in 20 minutes. How the hell did they know? But spirit was talking through them. Spirit was popping the battery at me. When I went to make lunch, the battery popped out again. And this illustrates 2 points. Me, myself, as an all-seeing medium, still can't see past the end of my own nose when it comes to myself. I find it very hard to read for myself. I admit that. But also, spirit works in some of the most simplest, beautiful, smallest ways to guide us through everyday life. And, you know, one of the, I guess a poignant takeaway message as we're coming to the end of this part of the podcast is that don't look for the trumpets in the sky. Don't look for the thunderclouds. Don't look for, you know, the bright lights where you hear some people have near-death experiences and they saw, you know, an archangel come out of the mist dressed like Joan of Arc. You know, I'm sure that happens, but for everybody, a majority of people, and even us mediums, when we talk to spirit, it's the simplest of smallest messages that are the most profound and just help you get through the day with that little bit of boost that, yep, you've got a spirit team on the other side looking after you. And that's what I felt today. Everything just fell into place, you know. Ran to the appointment, then ran to Coles, found my favourite spanakopita, found a few cool things, was even a bit naughty, got some corn chips. But yeah, and then went on to do other chores and other errands. And, you know, it just made my day that I was like, okay, slow down. It's all good. Read the signs and be aware of them. So, that's it for today's episode. As I said, sorry if it was a bit jumbly, a bit all over the place, but I just wanted to explain that yes, I'm Angelo Thomas Medium, and I am a natural born spirit medium who works with all kinds of spooks, angels, ascended masters, sometimes even the galactics. And yes, I drink red wine, I drink coffee, I have many vices like many humans, and that's okay because us spirit workers are not monks. But if you are a monk out there listening, hello, and no criticisms there. But yeah, it's about time we just dropped some of that rubbish, you know, dropped that whole persona of the holier than thou mindset. But again, it's up to you, your journey. So that's that part there. I just would like to also end it with a plug out to my website for my services. Like I said, spiritual development. I'm also doing Akashic record readings. And on that website, you'll find heaps of things coming up around events, workshops, even my upcoming published work that I'll be able to talk about more as it goes on. It's angelothomas.com.au. I'm also on Facebook at Angelo Thomas Medium, or Instagram, it's at the.angelothomas. And you can find this podcast on Apple, YouTube, Spotify, where you can subscribe today to find out when more episodes are coming. I've got a few more up my sleeve. And yeah, be in touch. Let me know if you have any topics. Let me know if you have any questions or even any thoughts on some of the things I said today. You know, I'm open to negative feedback too. It's what helped me. I mean, look, I worked for the government for many years. I had a lot of people in the public call me up and abuse the absolute living crap out of me when I was up at Parliament House. So I am a big boy. I can take it. You can tell me if you want to hear something more, something less, or anything in between. So thanks again for listening. Have an awesome day. And I'll leave you with that message that I always say to people, and that is spirit work is not reserved for the very few. Anyone can do it. It just takes patience and time and respect for yourself and spirit. Thanks, guys.